So, all right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to be doing a quick re-intro. Not going through the whole schedule, but just saying that I forgot to hit the record button, and we're here about 10 minutes into our scheduled meeting. With me here in this room is Josh Collin, uh, and Carlos Silva, Tom Barron, Douglas Virol, and myself, Gautam Ravi. We are expected to be joined by a bunch of folks over the course of this meeting as their slots are scheduled. We've shared the Etherpad link for this on the OpenStack Discuss mailing list, but we'll also include that in the meeting notes for folks that are seeing this later. And we have a packed schedule today, and we're hoping that the first set of folks that are talking about their topics are going to join us soon. But in the meanwhile, I did want to start with the retrospective that we had from the Shanghai PTG. Tom, do you want to give us an update there, or do you want me to just read through what we had from that Etherpad?
I think it might be better for me not to summarize it. You summarize it from what you said, and if I think of something that you're not saying, I'll say it, and similarly for the others who were there.
Yep, absolutely. Hello. Hi.
Hi, Zine. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Xine and Bryn. Hi.
Hello.
Oh, cool. We're saying hello to a little one, I guess. Nice. Just before you guys joined, we were planning on doing a small retrospective. Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
This. Hello.
So in Shanghai, we had a little bit of retrospective, and that's there in the Shanghai Etherpad. Just pasted that on chat here. We will be reviewing that. They said the bugs.r role has helped a lot, and we should keep it going. No disagreements there. And folks, if you have any points, please go ahead and add it to the same Etherpad. I'll copy that over to the virtual meeting Etherpad later. But I just wanted to recap what these guys talked about in Shanghai in person. The bugs.r roles helping a lot. Do we need other folks to be stepping up and taking on the bugs.r role as well? And we also need to cover other related Manila components. We are doing, I think, a decent job of that. But I agree if somebody felt that we were not looking a lot at manila-UI, Python Manila client. So we also asked if your organization has people that want to be helping with this, please let us know. Because being a bugs.r, I can tell you, is the best way to get involved with the project. And we have all of this fancy titles, but I mean, what we really need is somebody to look through the bugs, understand, and be the first person responding to these bugs and helping us triage and keep community members engaged when they submit a bug report. So that said, we are bottlenecked on reviewers. Tom spoke about this initiative that Gautam has started to refresh the set of core reviewers. Yeah, this is an important one. We said this on the mailing list. We are having quite a bit of a turnover as far as the core reviewer set is concerned. I mean, folks that were participating in the core team have now been, reassigned in their respective companies to do something else. And so we will have we will have to usher a new set of core reviewers because the number of contributors is also increasing, and we are getting more different kind of participation. So please get in touch with me if you'd like to be part of the core reviewer team. I'd be happy to mentor you to get you on board, and that's what I spoke about in the mailing list. I can put down a link. I can find and put down a link for that. And we need more helping hands in Manila UI. We'll talk a little bit about that today. And we started getting feedback from operators, or rather, we need some feedback from operators that are using Manila UI to find out what we can improve. And we had Johansson from City Cloud, I suppose, City Network Cloud, who said that he'll be able to contact some university students that might help us with this. That's cool. And we haven't yet been approached about the next user survey, but maybe that is something we can include in the next user survey. I will add an action item to myself to get in touch with Kendall Waters or somebody from the foundation to include a question about Manila UI. We really want to know who is using it or how many of them really care out there about the UI component.
I haven't been in touch with guys that use it, but I have seen some emails from one guy. I think like months. I think this is the only contact I get with someone that he actually is using the Manila UI. I haven't seen a lot of people using it, so
Yeah, yeah. This was, I think, somebody who had their own OpenStack installation. They weren't working with a distro, and they had a problem with Stein version of Manila UI. Thanks for responding to that thread, Carlos. We'll see. I don't know if we answered his query, but it is good to see that there are people that are interested in consuming Manila UI. I know for one, CERN has been consuming it, and they did initially report some bugs against it. Good to know.
yeah, it's very good to know. I think that email that guy sent us, he's having hard troubles to use the Manila UI, and Victor asked him to file a bug in Launchpad. I don't know if
Yeah.
he was able to like avoid the issue he was hitting, but uh, I think I haven't seen any emails in that thread, and I would like to get in touch with him to check if he's still having troubles or he like figured it out what was going on.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Did anyone have anything else to add about this retrospective um, before we move on to our next topic? Hearing none.
Nice summary.
Thanks, Tom. All right. Cool. So now that we have Hayashin and Bryn, we can get started with their topics. I think, Hayashin, if you're not on this Etherpad, I did paste a link on the chat. Please let me know if you don't have it. It's also on our channel as the topic. and you can get started when you're ready.
I think Bring is talking, and I'm not able to hear you, Bring.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
Yes.
now.
Uh, uh, may, maybe I speak low. I think we can check the click the link and see more detail in in the Launchpad. Billy, you can see something.
We show our opening on the Launchpad. We want to you can talk this Python and me. Python and I. The English is not very good. The first topic we talked Tom on the in Shanghai summit. I think he can introduce this topic instead of us. Is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Is he around? Is this, did you say hi, Akshin?
Yeah, I'm here.
Can he join us?
What?
Oh, you said
The
someone can introduce this topic?
the first topic is about blueprint. It means we can query user message by time step. In no time we only can the user only can query user message by the message ID or the resource UUID. But include the user message will be so many is too large for user to find what the user want.
Yep.
If something wrong with a share, maybe a user want to get the message by produce. It means from one time to another time.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the everything. I think we can open open the link and get look the manila spec what right here.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I mean, yeah, I was taking a look at this. I haven't taken a deeper look at this, but I can tell you right off the bat that we were thinking about this sort of a problem with respect to other APIs and specifically the access rules. And I don't think we completed that work, but just wanted to give you a heads up. I'll paste the link over here. There is a API SIG guideline on how to write APIs that have pagination and filtering based on timestamps. So that would be one feedback that I have with respect to that. I'd like to see, I mean, this was the discussion we had with respect to the other API as well. I would like to see that we conform to this API spec. I think they wanted us to make sure that there are 4 things that are met, that you're able to use a timestamp interval, 2-date timestamp interval, an open-ended single date interval, multiple time intervals that an item may belong to, or equality with a default value when no time has been set yet. I think there are some examples if you follow that link. And looking at your spec, it's more or less like that. You have two keys that you want to filter with, created since and created before. I think that works fine because I think the examples just use started at and finished at, and this is I mean this is synonymous.
Mm,
Except I think they also want you to consider if you just include created before, you should still be able to get those results. Does that make sense?
Awesome. Would you repeat your last sentence? I couldn't hear what said.
Yeah,
Except that they also want you to consider something.
yeah. So so
And I
you for
couldn't
a
hear
time
you.
interval, yeah, yeah, no problem, Tom. So for a time interval, you could specify the beginning and the end. But in the spec that the API SIG has put together, they said that if you're allowing queries by time interval, they would want you to consider the individual open-ended intervals as well. So if you said you could query by created before and created at created after sorry created before and created since, you should be able to just say created since, and you should be able to just use created before as well individually. You shouldn't need both of them at the same time, although it must work when both of
I
them are
see.
specified.
I see. As the spec is written right now, the create before time and create since time are both optional arguments, right? Vanilla message list can make a create before time or a create since time, so allow open-end queries. And I may be missing your.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it should be allowed. What do you guys say, Hakshin and Rin?
I'm saying that as they wrote it already. We can get this to the review of the spec and kind
Okay.
of miss something, but I think the fun number is that I haven't heard an object to the general idea. I could everybody likes it. No one objection to the general point. And Gotham brought a point, which is that there is a cost API relation or standard, whatever we want to call it. So we should try to conform with that. The only question is if there's some, are we already conforming, if there's something we need to do extra. And I was reading the spec. We can either not specify any core create sense time, or we can specify them, or we can specify either one by themselves.
Yeah.
Which on a quick reading seemed to conform with what the general recommendation was, although I hadn't read it before. Anyway, that's all I have to say at the moment. It's like this is on track and we can just solve any remaining issues in the review, but we've got them.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense, Tom. Are you folks okay with that? We'll take time to review the spec. I think it looks absolutely fine as far as we're saying it. I will take another deeper look if you're conforming to this, but if you haven't seen this API spec before, please go through it yourself.
Yeah, okay. I have already looked sometimes at it. I just had some comments for Hackney, and he answered. Looks good, but I think you guys can give more concerns about the things that are written there.
Thanks, Carlos. Anything else about this topic? Nope. Okay, we can move on to the next one. Bryn and Haixin, you have the next one as well. It says add asynchronous error info into messages when extending and shrinking. I think these are just bugs, and you started working on them. Is that correct?
I think
This is the second topic is a bug I found. As we can see, if a share cannot extend a success in driver, the user message should record this. But now the user message doesn't do that. So I think we can add this in user message.
Okay. Does anybody have
and-
any concerns about that?
And
Sorry, go ahead.
the chain is share is similar.
Mhm.
The second line.
Yeah.
I think we can fix it as well.
Yep, agreed. As far as I'm concerned, we discussed this at a weekly meeting, and we did see, but both these bugs are, these were omissions, and we're absolutely fine with making sure that we have user messages for both these actions. Thank you for picking up these bugs. Let us know if in case you have some concerns while implementing them. But right now, I think we are in agreement. Does anybody have any concerns? No, I see people shaking their heads, so I think that means no. So yeah, these bug fixes can land. We'll go ahead and review them. Thank you. Does that address your concern, Hakshin?
Will we begin the second topic? For the
Yeah.
three.
All right. The next one, yeah, you can go for it. It has got your names on it. Where this thing, it says Manila service list shows up for an uninitialized driver, and you've opened a bug for it. The bug is linked on the Etherpad for those that want to take a look.
Yes, I found this several days ago. I found if I add a new driver to the Manila and I restart the Manila share, I found before the new driver is initiated correctly, I use Manila service list. I found the driver, the schedule of the driver is up.
Yeah.
I look the code I found before the Manila driver it kills circle task it will stay up until the next cycle task it will be done.
Okay.
I think do you understand me what I say?
Yeah, I think so. But I'm a little confused because I thought we had addressed this issue. Um, so what we do at service start time is when we load the driver, I mean, we have two states that need to be set for a service to be up. One is that the service itself has started, it's loaded its configuration, and it's about to start its driver. And the driver's configuration is loaded, and it calls a setup method in the driver to set up the driver resources. And while that setup method is going on, we do report that the service is all right. And then when the driver comes up, it can tell us that it's broken, and we actually go back and set the status to down. So we expect that driver startup does not take so much time, and that these updates that are going on are going to be, in a quick sequence, if not, together. They can't be together, but that's the current design. But you're saying that even when the driver is actually down, we're actually claiming that the service is up and running, if I understand you correctly. Yes. Thanks, Bryn. We the second link is a fix, proposed fix. We should take a look at this. I think we will also revisit this a little bit during the active discussions, especially because driver states are going to matter when we're running multiple copies of these. And there are some things that Cinder has done differently that we would like to probably try and get happening in Manila. So we'll take a look at this patch seriously, and we'll I mean, firstly, we should be able to reproduce this bug that Hyaxine has hit first, and then we'll take a look at his fix. I need some help here in terms of review, and probably I'm looking at Douglas or Carlos if you can help me, with this review.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Sure, got them.
Awesome, thank you. Okay. Thank you. Does the action item make sense? Bryn and Hyaxine? Are you guys okay with that? We'll take a look at this after this meeting, after the meeting, and we'll probably follow up during one of the weekly meetings or directly on the review.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay. All right. We have one last topic from you again. Thank you for
Yeah.
proposing all of these. Go ahead.
This is a bug also. I found if I try to extend a share, if this time our backends are down, that means there is no manager to take the message from API. Then the schedule of share will struggle in extending. In the normal situation, after driver has extended the share successfully, then it will turn the schedule from extending to available. But if the backend has done, then the share will be will always in extending. I think if we fail to extend a share, it doesn't matter for us to use this share. We can mount it also. So I think we should add it in a schedule layer to check if our backend are done. We can return we can roll back the schedule of share from extending to available and record an user message in the message database. Do you understand me?
Yes. Yeah, and I certainly understand. So technically, you're saying that if we fail at the back end, or if the service is down somehow, we can actually roll back and is to available rather than just stay at extending and then record a user message saying try again later or something like that. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a proposal for this?
Not yet. I will propose propose this field several several days later. I think the key point is the schedule layer.
Seems like a good idea to me, and it makes me think about other operations where we skip going through the scheduler. I don't see that to let this work, just to raise awareness. We inherited a bunch, structured a bunch of code from Center, which has similar issues. And we see in Sender people working on taking operations that's the scheduler and go to the API to the manager, and starting to put the scheduler in there as well. So this may pattern for a number of things going forward, but I don't see any reason to not go ahead and fix here first. I don't think we have some kind of totally general solution before we can get started.
Okay, I just recorded that. I mean, whatever you proposed, and it makes sense. I mean, we'd like to see the proposal a little more concrete. From my end, the concern would be, yes, it makes sense to go through the scheduler always, but how does the scheduler know, when the backend is actually, when the backend dies? Actually, let me rephrase that. The scheduler always knows that the backend is dead when it dies, so it's probably easier. But then we're talking about two different threads, so we'll have to think about that a little carefully. That would be the only concern. I don't think it's not doable, but it's a fine idea for sure. I think the same problem exists for shrinking a share as well. I just added another note about share shrink over there. But of course, if you're interested in the extend case, we can lead with that.
Yes, they can be separate pieces of work. From my point of view, as long as we keep track of it, know that we need to do shrink as well. Go on and just extend first. Get it right for one of them and follow the same pattern.
Yes. Anything else about this topic?
Yeah, thanks, Maxine, for information.
I agree. Thank you so much for bringing all of these and for finding these issues and for filing these bugs and working on the bug fixes and bringing this to the PTG itself. Thank you. Do you have anything else about this?
I will wait until we discuss the how we deal with the Manila UI.
Yes. Yes, I kind of scheduled that after the next topic because we have, I think we might now have Ryan
Yes,
and
yes.
hi Ryan.
I think is online too.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yes.
I think Ding. Okay.
Yes, it's Ding
So
speaking.
I'll continue the next topic.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. I will give some brief introduction and this yeah. I'm Ryan and I'm from Dell EMC and Paul and I are the main maintainers of Unity and VX Spinner and Manila drivers. And currently we met an issue about promoting several shares. And on Unity, the server A could export two shares, share A and share B. Each share could create its own replica, but the promote operation are in the scope of the share server. That is, you cannot promote a share. You need to promote the whole share server. So here is the problem that the Manila share replica promote command can only accept one replica to promote, and so we are here to find a solution to promote several replicas together. So we already have some suggestions, like put the several replicas into a group and promote the share group. But imagine the use case that the users replicate two shares and they maybe do not know these two shares are on the same share server. When the disaster happened, they wanted to promote the replicas and they need to create a group, then add these two replicas into the group and then promote the group. I don't. So why don't we make this simple, just providing a way to input several replicas to the Manila share replica promote? Do you have any other ideas about this?
Yeah. So I didn't catch the last part of your question. You said that a user creates multiple shares, and then when they're
Right.
about to promote one of their shares, I mean, unbeknownst to them, there are other shares on the share server that also need to get promoted.
Right.
Is that correct? Okay.
Right. But the command line only accepts one replica one time. So
Yeah.
So when the disaster happens, they need to create a group and add the replica to the group and promote the group. I don't think it makes sense.
Yeah. No. I mean, so technically, this is a problem that other backends would have as well. Carlos, Douglas, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, when you have multiple shares that land on a share server, and you want to actually promote one of those because there's a disaster, you know for sure that that share server is down, and you will want to take all the replicas that are there on the share server off of that share server, correct? Even in case of, let's say, NetApp. So I think this is a common scenario, and this is, I don't know if we had thought about this before. We certainly did not think about the user experience around, a disaster with respect to a share server, because this is something that's hidden away from the users. They don't know that there is a share server, and that there are multiple shares that are associated with a given share server. There could, according to them, there could be 20, or maybe they don't even care, right?
So my I think that we could not use the group. We could just add several replicas to the command promote. The Manila replica promote command. Just give it a list, and we can then promote all the replicas together. If the user input one replica and the backend found it needs to promote several replicas, and the an error will be returned to the user, and they could know that they should promote several replicas together, and they can put it into the list of the Manila promote command. I think
so.
All
the user knows about. Yeah, makes sense. So all the user knows about is a share network, and so you're saying that they would have to enumerate all the shares that are there on that share network, and then use share replica promote on each of those these things in one command.
Yes.
So your backend is going to handle those every share in the list together, right? As one operation, but or at least if they pick the shares appropriately. But some backends might not, right? So how do we handle failures to promote if some of the replicas succeed and some of them don't? It's not a serious objection necessarily, but it's something we need to think through.
Okay.
Yeah. Can Unity actually promote several of them at once? Like, in one atomic operation?
Some of the old EMC backends could do that. I don't know whether Unity does this or not, so I'll let Ryan answer. Ryan, for your backend, replication and promotion, do replication and promotion of replicas work like consistency groups so that you do them? They actually are a group operation.
Actually, the Unity is promote a share server. It's not promote a single share or something like that.
Yeah.
You just tell the Unity to promote share server. That's it.
Okay. But what about those shares that are not replicated? I mean, that are not required to be replicated.
The data is lost for the
okay.
not replicated share.
So
you can set up a replication on the share server, and you can create standalone. You can create a share replicas on the share, and then when the disaster happens, you can only promote the share server, and all the replicated share you can find on the destination replica. So all the shares that haven't been replicated, the data will be lost. The data will lost. Yeah.
okay.
So if we use a list of shares and the list does not actually include all the shares on that share server, they still get promoted anyway, right? And there's potential loss for those that weren't replicated that were associated with that share server.
Come again, Tom. I didn't catch your question.
I'm just worrying about the list. That if the user mentions a list of, say, 3 shares to be promoted, but the backend is really going to promote everything associated with the share server, all shares associated with the share server that those 3 shares use. Are there going to be surprises, I guess, for the user? Because we're really going to promote, with this backend, we're going to promote every share associated with that share server.
So this is the original problem we
So I had a question then. Why would we need the user to provide a full list at that point? In the sense, is there something else that the user can say that says, I acknowledge I want to promote all of the replicas that are there on the share server. I don't want, I don't want to take the pain of enumerating what are all the replicas that are there on my share network, and then I'm going, and then I'm going to type them up because it's redundant information for as far as we're concerned, right? Like when we already know what are the shares that are going to be there on the other end when the promotion happens. So why are we expecting the user to provide this information again to us?
Actually, there are 2 cases to promote a share. One is the planned promote. That's
yeah.
And the other is the unplanned. It's it's for the disaster recovery. And for the first one, maybe they just want to promote a single replica for some maintenance purpose or something like that. And for the second, maybe they want to promote all the replica.
Yeah.
I think.
So for the planned case, are you able to promote a single replica? No, correct? If I understand you?
No. No.
Okay.
Right. No.
Okay. So, Carlos and I were talking about this last week, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and the solution that we were spitballing amongst ourselves was this. Um, have you played around with share groups at all?
We we no, we don't put the share group.
Okay. So share groups are just, the idea is that a user creates a group of shares, and it's
Uh-huh.
only during create. You cannot bring existing shares into a share group. You can only create
Uh-huh.
shares within a. So you can, it's a sequential operation. You can create a group, and then you can create a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of shares within that group, and then you
Mm-hmm.
can operate on that group. Right now, all you can do with a group is take a snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
So for this case, we were thinking that, let's say on an EMC backend that supports this
Mm-hmm.
sort of replication, a
Mm-hmm.
user creates a group and then creates a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of shares and sets a group
Mm-hmm.
property that says, replication enabled or something like that, the replication style DR, disaster recovery replication. That way, the user cannot promote an individual share. They can only promote their whole group at once.
Mm-hmm.
So when a disaster does happen, or even if this is a planned failover, they can say
Mm-hmm.
Manila share group promote, and then the group
Mm-hmm.
ID, and we'll be able to promote the whole group at once. And on the back end, when
Mm-hmm.
EMC gets when Unity gets this group create request, it can decide to put all of the subsequent shares on one share server
Mm-hmm.
and make
So
sure that no other shares are on this share server.
okay. So for the for uh for our backend, we must force the customer to create a group for replications, and we cannot create a standalone share application, right? So how to force them to create a
Yeah.
only
Well,
can create a group application.
the rationale would be that because the backend only supports group-based,
Mm-hmm.
promotions, that would be the rationale. Because as Douglas types out, NetApp does individual shares, so does ZFS. They really don't have the concept of a group of shares getting replicated together unless you go one level below. It is not a very generic concept where you have to promote the whole share server. Of course, the disaster scenario makes sense even to NetApp, I think. Douglas, correct me if I'm wrong. If there is a disaster in your data center and your ONTAP goes up in flames, of course, everything
Mm-hmm.
needs to be promoted at once, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be at once. The user can go ahead and issue share replica promote 20 times for all the shares that are there on that share network. But that's the way we expect it to work, correct?
Yeah, you are right. This is simplifying the operation for sure. But we don't have this kind of operation, and we're not thinking until now on something like this for uh, the next features. But it's a very good feature to consider.
Yeah. So what do you think, Ryan, about the group solution, apart from the fact that you'll have to re-educate your users about thinking about groups for replication as opposed to shares?
Okay, we can consider to use group for replication. Maybe we can.
Because, mhm. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. We can just to figure out that how to create how to fit the share group for replications in EMC case.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, certainly I would encourage you to think around those lines only because A, I mean, with your solution of you know, allowing them to specify all of the replicas, they still can't do planned failovers individually. It would have to be all of the replicas that are there on the share server. And getting this list is not a problem, but it's as cumbersome, I think, and it's not intuitive to end users, especially because we expect an asynchronous failure and a user message to tell them that the backend expects a big list of replicas that need to be actioned at once.
And what do you do if the user supplies only some of the members in the group? You say it's implicit that the whole group will be promoted, or do you fail it because the user made a mistake? You know, so I think since your backend does group replication, making that explicit, since we have the notion, we already expose the idea of a group, makes more sense. And it's going to be easier for the user.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as what's lacking, I mean, I would encourage you to take a look at what we've done with consistent snapshot support, I think it was called. I can give you the actual thing.
I think it's a little bit different from the group snapshot case because you need to force the user to create group replication first, and the snapshot that you can. But after the disaster happened, the group for replication maybe cannot be created easily. So
Yeah. I mean, this isn't that the group creation should not happen at the time of the disaster. The group creation must happen when the shares are getting created. So this is a difference between Cinder and Manila. I think in Cinder you can add an existing share into a group or remove a share from a group or something. They have a little bit of a different semantics. But in Manila, you cannot take an existing share into a group. So a share has to be born in the group, has to be created in the group. So if somebody is planning for disaster recovery, they would have to first create a share group and then just create any number of shares within that share group. I mean, you can add shares into the share group at any time. You can create shares into that share group at any time. That's no problem, except that they have to originate within that group.
Okay.
And for you, I think it makes things a lot easier because when somebody says create share group, you can go ahead and provision a share server at that time. And then, just wait for shares to be created on that share server. And I mean, if it is a planned failover or it is a disaster-based failover, you're going to get the group replicate and so group promote request at that same time.
Yeah.
So I mean, the reason I'm giving you the group spec consistent snapshot support is not because it's the same as replication or it's similar. The only reason I'm giving you that is because that is the only capability that we support as far as groups are concerned. So if you are introducing group replication, then you will need to create a new capability just like this. You should probably call it group replication support or something like that. Uh, and then I mean, you can use the same exact replication semantics that are there. It can take, whether the replication style is disaster recovery or simultaneously readable replicas or synchronous replication that is simultaneously writable shares. Uh, but I assume in your case, it's going to be disaster recovery, right?
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you for bringing this up. Um, and please take a look at that. And reach out at any point of time if you have any questions. We will probably require a small spec around this, especially because it's a new capability that you're introducing and a new API to do the group promotion. If you decide to follow this path. So, and there's a spec deadline that is milestone 2. If you're not aware, I can just paste that link onto the chat here. That's the Ussuri schedule, and we have our spec freeze deadline on during milestone 2, which is February 10th through February 14th. For a couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll need to see a spec by that time, and we'll be able to work on this. Specs don't have to, I mean, we will try and merge specs by that time, but please don't propose it, just before the deadline. That would be very hard for us to review it. If you can give us sufficient time to review, that would be great.
Okay.
Awesome. Anything else about this topic?
No.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining. I didn't hear who else joined from your team. Did you say Ding was here?
So sorry, I didn't get you.
No, I didn't hear who else joined from your team.
Ding dong.
Okay.
Okay,
hello,
I will tap in the name.
Okay.
It's already in the note.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys for joining and for proposing this topic. We'll certainly look forward to the spec and helping you land this change.
Sure.
Cool. We're actually on schedule, which is really awesome for me. But at the same time, I think we're kind of fried. Do you guys want to take like a short 5-minute break and get back to the next topic? I'm sorry, Hayakshin and Bryn and those from China, if I'm keeping you up for long, but I just wanted to make sure everybody is still fresh while you guys talk about the next set of things. So is a 5-minute break okay?
I think I'll join after SFFS stand-up.
Yeah, sure, no problem, Joss.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, time to get back. It's cool. I like how Douglas has Carlos on the earpiece saying, "Hey, come back."
Yeah, exactly what I said.
No, I think we lost Victoria. Okay, let's get started. Vicky is currently not on the call, but she'll join us. And I can give you a short intro to what we thought we'll be talking about, and then Hayakshin can give us his version as well. So I mean, for those that are not aware, we have a feature parity in manila-UI, and we've had it for a long time now. Since the Okada cycle, we have not added any new features to manila-UI. We've only been fixing bugs, and the result of which is that we currently don't have a support for micro versions greater than 2.32. So 2.32 is the maximum micro version that the manila-UI supports, which means anything higher than that, it doesn't care about. It's just talking to Manila at 2.32. And this is a problem, especially for the folks that are trying to add new features. So the approach that Victoria and I had was to try and create bugs for this, and we created, I think, one of them at least. I can link you guys to it. This is the bug, which talks about what's going on with the micro version support in the UI. So, I mean, it is a pretty straightforward concern, except that we haven't had a lot of people that want to work on Manila UI that have gone ahead and helped us fix these issues even. So we thought we'll have to. I mean, we were just waiting for somebody to pick up the stuff. There aren't a lot of concerns though. I think one of the biggest problems we had was uh, where was this? In API version 2.45, we have I think it was API version 2.45. We have a problem. We would have to start using a different API to get the list of access rules. So straight away, just increasing the version to 2.49 or whatever we are at currently will be bad because the access rules APIs will break. The access rules page will, for instance, break. That is the current concern we currently have. And that's what probably Victoria meant when she commented on your patch, Hayakshin, that it's not it's quite dangerous to just update the micro version uh, without going through and seeing what else can break, because we don't have much test coverage. We won't know whether pages are loading or not. So right now we'll have to do a bunch of manual testing for the whole on all of these pages once we start bumping up these micro versions. Does that make sense? Hey, Vicky's back.
Hey.
Hi. So I just explained the problem, Victoria, that we cannot directly bump up the micro version to 2.49 or whatever that we want to make in the UI. We would have to at least consider the intermediate versions, even if we're not adding the new features like user messages or something. we don't have to implement user messages which were introduced in API version 2.37, but we shouldn't be breaking anything. And I think we deprecated the access rules API in version 2.45, for instance. So we would have to at least address that concern.
Yeah, I started working on this with the new intern with Maury, and I definitely we probably are not going to put time on adding new visual components just because we want to make sure that we have manila-UI updated, and then if we can put some time on working on the different components we are missing, then we can do it. But at first, get things updated and avoid, yes, breaking anything. If there is any deprecation or any change that actually needs a tweak, then we are going to add it. But definitely we need to do it slowly. I think that's about it, about the topic. I don't know if there's any specific. I know this is blocking async change.
But I'm taking from what Gautam's saying that if the access rule metadata stuff at 2.45 was fixed in the UI, then we could move ahead with Ixing's 2.49 fix and then do the others more gradually. Is that correct?
Yes, that's what I think as well. I mean, I agree. That's the thing. I'm trying to find the change that introduced that breakage or deprecation. Just give me a second. So this is the change that I'm aware of. This is probably the only deprecation that we've done in a long time, apart from ripping out Nova Network. We removed the remote support for the old version of the access rules list API, which is an index call now. So here's the review that added that. So if you are requesting with 2.32 and until 2.44, you're all right. You can still use the access rules list API call. But at 2.45, you'll get a 404 if you try to list access rules with that API. We explained that in the API ref as well. Let me give you a link to that. So this is the new API from 2.45, and access list, I think, was the old API. I can give you a link to that. This was the old API. So we have two approaches that we can take here. One is we can fix this in Manila, Python Manila client. We can actually take, I mean, even for a newer micro version, if the older, I mean, from the older method, we can just go ahead and redirect the call to the new endpoint. That would be straightforward, and if somebody is using this in a program, even those other programs won't break. It's not just manila-UI. Other folks that have built their tooling around Python Manila client will actually appreciate that sort of a fix. where it's if you just say Manila access list, you're still getting your access rules no matter what API version. So you don't need to make any changes in the Manila UI. I mean, it'll just work because you have made the change in Python Manila client. So that's one approach. The second approach is in Manila UI, check whether if it's a greater than 245, call the newer method in Python Manila client, which I'm not too very happy about because then you have not made a generic enough solution, but it still works. Does that make sense? Let me give you what and let me actually take a moment and ask Hayakshin, what do you think about this? Is that congruent to what you were thinking?
I think if we turn the version to 250, we need to remove the old API first
Yeah.
from the Manila UI before after we change the version. I think the key work is to remove old API. The new API new API can work fine if we turn higher the version.
So this is something we can fix. By we I mean Wiki. Maybe we can create a bug and fix this in Python Manila client. That way, if we can use a newer client, then Hayakshin's problem is fixed straight away. He can go ahead and bump the micro version on my Manila UI. What do you think about that? We'll create a bug, we'll fix this in Python Manila client such that they don't have an issue with when they land their changes.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's okay. Let's add an action item to open it after the PTG. Sounds good.
Yes, makes sense to me.
I can do that.
One thing for sure at this point though is if you're bumping up the micro version right now, then we would have to bump up the minimum required Python Manila client as well. Otherwise, things will start breaking, and that's not a problem. If we're bumping up the client versions, that's usually not a problem. We can do it. But I'd like to coordinate that so I can go ahead and release Python Manila client and then use that version in Manila UI. So we can actually schedule this for milestone 2 such that we can line up these releases and then release the client once we're done with the Python Manila client release. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Thank you for confirming. And at this point, UTC now. I'm actually confused. We are at 14:42. That's great. So we have another half hour before we switch to our next topic. And is there anything else that needs to be added for this particular topic? Hearing none. Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Hakshin, for bringing this up and for addressing this. We have a plan of action. I'm going to rely on Victoria here because she has a resource that I'm slyly indicating that we'll get this bug fixed. And yeah, thank you. Thanks, Bryn. And thanks, Hakshin, for joining us despite this being this late in your day. Hope you're able to sleep well. Okay. Yay, we have some time to spare. That's a good situation to be in. Right. Okay. So our next topic is active Manila share service. But before we start talking about that, because we're expecting a couple of folks from who contribute to Cinder and to Triple O, Corca and Julia Fidente, to join us, and I've scheduled that to 10 minutes past 1500 UTC. So that's in half an hour or so. Actually, yeah, in about half an hour. So we have some time to talk about some community stuff. Which one do we talk about? We don't have Jason here with us, so we can't talk about the project tracking issue. So let's go on to pick up an easier topic. And it'll be this. Okay. So as you're aware, we're ripping out Python 2.7, and we have a bunch of changes that are lined up right now, and which I think some of you have already taken a look at. Let me see if I can link you guys to it. It is, I mean, we've categorized them, we've tagged them all with the same subject. Oh, it's just 3 of them. Wrong link. Okay, so what's going on is we're not acting completely aggressively towards ripping out all of the compatibility that we have in our libraries and in our projects. I mean, there's a spec that's been proposed that just says start with stopping testing, and that's what we're doing. So, as we promised in the Ussuri cycle, we will stop supporting it by saying that we no longer test compatibility to Python 2.7. And by that, on our projects, all of our functional jobs, all of our linters and PEP8 and unit testing jobs will no longer run with Python 2.7. They will only exclusively run with Python 3. A couple of cycles ago, Tom had switched us over to running a majority of our jobs with Python 3. And we just had one functional job that was set with Python 2 as the base runtime, and we're getting rid of that as well. That's the gist of it as we approach the Python 2.7's death clock. And the other thing to consider over there is that we have a phased approach that's been proposed in the first milestone. That's this week. That's basically tomorrow. We would have to merge the project changes, and if you click on that link, the project change is currently got a +1. We will need at least 2 code reviewers to go ahead, take a look at it, and go ahead and merge it. I think this morning I addressed the concern that Sam Van from EMC had. We went ahead and workflowed his change, which was the only blocking change for this change to go through. I think we needed a recheck. Okay, thanks, Tom. So I mean, Douglas, Tom, you guys are on the call. You might as well do the honors if you'd wish, and go ahead and merge that change. In phase 2, we will be. Thanks, Tom. In phase 2, we'll be merging. We'll be putting up Python Manila client and Manila Tempest plugin, and you all can take a look at those patches as well. Thanks, Douglas. And we can merge it anytime after today, after tomorrow, really. So if you feel free, I mean, if you feel like doing it, you can go ahead and do it when today, tomorrow, whenever. Because I don't think anyone's coming after us if we just rip out tests from our own project. So as far as that, I think we meet the goal by ripping out the testing support. And what this means to us as a community is, yes, we don't have to use 6 any longer. But we're not going crazy and ripping out 6 completely. But any new changes that are coming, no requirement whatsoever to use Python 2 compatibility layers. We may at some point refactor and remove some dead code, remove 6 support. I feel we don't need to rush that at the moment. There are lots of drivers, vendor driver authors that have gone ahead and added quite a bit of Python 2.7.3 compatibility code, and they are free to do that at any time. Go ahead and action those. We have not audited all of our third-party CIs, but Douglas has done a fair job of it, and we'll be talking about that when we talk about third-party CI in general. And we can go through the list and determine what we are going to do about those. But thank you, Douglas, Carlos. Thank you to the EMC maintainers and the newer drivers that have already that switched over to Python 3 testing. And Python 3.6 was sufficient. But then if you're using newer distros, Python 3.7 is available. So I'd encourage all of you guys to switch your CI systems to Python 3.7 testing. And we will be maintaining the compatibility matrix upstream to test with Python 3.6. and Python 3.7. Experimentally, we will also be running unit tests in this cycle for Python 3.8. At the end of this cycle, I mean, for the next cycle, we will be introducing Python 3.8 and deprecating Python 3.6 support. So if you're interested, please do go through the links shared over there. There is actually a more aggressive timeline that we'll be catching up with Python releases than ever before in OpenStack. Which means, I mean, for vendor maintainers, at least certifying with one supported Python 3 version is required. So please keep an eye on your CI systems and upgrade as required. It's mostly what I had about that topic. Did anybody have any concerns with this?
Nope.
I think the concern that okay, thanks. Yeah, I think the concern that the Cinder team had was, can we start using type annotations? And the answer to that, I think from my end is, yeah, please. If you while we don't any longer support Python 3.5, and I think type annotations have actually been stable since Python 3.6. So if there is any requirement to do so, you're welcome to include them in the code. Thanks, Tom. With that, I think we have a good 10 minutes before we can talk about our next topic. On the call, I did not introduce I didn't give you guys a chance to say hello, both Victoria and Vida. Thank you for joining. Vicky already said hi and already spoke about a topic, but Vida is here as well. Vida works with us at Red Hat, and she's basically in charge of all the QA and breaking our code at Red Hat. Okay, cool. Do you guys want to take a short break, and then we can catch up at 1500 UTC for our next topic, which is active share service. We've said it's 1510, but I did invite our guests over at 1500. So if we do have them, we can get started at the earliest. That's actually, we can take a longer break if you would wish. And do you think it's 10 minutes is fine?
I think they
Yes.
Awesome. All right. We'll catch up again in 10 minutes. That's 15:05 UTC. And I'll take a poll if our guests are there, or we'll just try and talk about something else at that point. Thank you.
Okay, see ya.